leaders, dreamers, changemakers, welcome to the Vibrant Living Podcast. Here, limitations shatter and potential explodes into a kaleidoscope of possibility. At the helm, Donna Tashjian, life mastery coach and founder of Vibrant Living International, weaves godly wisdom and Christian perspective into every step, empowering you to discover your purpose and light up your world. Here is your host, Donna.
Hello, my Vibrant Living community. Welcome to a special episode of the Vibrant Living Podcast. And today I have a special guest. Lauren is with us today. And I have been looking forward to talking with her and hearing her conversation with Lauren. Lauren, where do you live in the world? And tell us a little bit about you.
Donna, such a pleasure to connect with you. So I'm a born and raised California girl, but married a Michigan boy. So now Metro Detroit is home. So you can all pray for me because we just have nonstop snow, like 6 months out of the year. So I'm based in Detroit and I own a change management coaching and consulting firm. And I specialize in conflict resolution with organizations, helping leadership get aligned and move through their values and help implement them into actual practical ways that it comes across in their culture. And I also do coaching and helping women unlock their potential as leaders and understand who God created them to be so that they can live in alignment and work in life.
So how did you get started in this line of work?
I know. I didn't actually know this line of work existed, to be frank.
I know.
So I started my career in publishing and media. My thoughts at the time were I was going to climb the ladder in the corporate world, and I achieved a lot of success along the way. But one thing that was interesting, Donna, is I found my job description actually not very fulfilling, but I was brought into situations where back then it would have been an HR situation. So two managers are disagreeing. We're at a stalemate. What do we do? And they would naturally bring me in because I was really good at handling conflict or communication, or leaders would get disgruntled employees and employees would feel unheard. And like the review time, like when you're getting performance reviews, like the dreaded time, and they would bring me in to sit with the leaders to help them communicate to their team members, even though this had nothing to do with my job. So I was just kind of like along for the ride. I didn't know anything different at the time. But then I found out that there's actually a career in organizational change and in organizational culture and in leadership alignment. So I went and stopped my time in corporate, got my master's from Northwestern in organizational change, got a certificate in high performance leadership from Cornell University, and then went back to corporate working for an international consulting firm called Accenture. And we worked with Fortune 500s. We worked with big international charities. And then I ended up feeling like God called me. I locked myself in a prayer closet for 3 days, Donna. I was like, God, are you sure you want me to leave? Because we reached the peak, right? This must have been your plan all along. And his typical plot twist way, he's like, nope, I have other plans. All this led you to this purpose. And now you're going to go use it and do it on your own. So I created my own company. And now I've been rocking and rolling. We hit our 5-year goal in year 1, and God's just so good. And it's so funny that we've reached this point, Donna, and I didn't even know that this career existed, a decade ago.
Yep. It is funny, the twists and turns that can happen along the way, and nothing is ever wasted.
No, nothing is wasted. And God is so good with his plot twist. So I've learned to just be like, all right, I don't know. I'm genuinely surrendered to you. I think that was a big thing as I'm even saying this, Donna. I think I learned a big lesson that for most of my life, I thought I was surrendering to God, but I think I was actually apathetic, almost like waiting for God, like whatever you want, God, okay, but not really hoping or putting my heart in it in a faith-based way. A big revelation for me was when God told me apathy and surrender are actually very different. Surrender to me requires full-fledged vulnerability. Apathy is your own way of protecting yourself. That was just a huge takeaway for me.
That is a huge conversation right there, is learning the difference between that, because a lot of times we give God lip service. I surrender, but I really don't want you to take control because you might take me in a direction I don't like. And even though we say it out loud and it sounds silly, because we know he's good, but inside we kind of wonder and we still, I want to do it my way just a little bit, God. So could you bless me as I go this way? And he does.
It's crazy. Or in my case too, I feel like I had gone through so many different traumas and betrayals, and I was just at the end of the day, I feel like I became almost like I'm always waiting for the shoe to drop. So
Mhm.
I'm not really going to hope God you'll change it. Just give me the strength to get through it. And in it came to this apathetic state. And I think that dilutes so much wonder. I think that dilutes so much hope. And ultimately it dilutes faith, which is, faith is confidence in things hoped for. And so that was just a huge thing for me. I think that God had me go through such a sort of roundabout way. Oh, I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. You gave me so much success working with Fortune 500s, and now let's plot twist it, create something brand new on your own in a way that makes no sense to anybody. And what does surrender to God look like? Not apathy, surrender, and find wonder and joy and hope in it. So it's so relative to what I'm walking through now, and so I just had to share
Yeah.
that.
Waiting for the other shoe to drop and living in wonder are polar opposites.
And 100%, 100%. One is living in survival day to day apathy. Yeah. And the other is wonders like, what is joy and mystery and discovery and beauty and passion look like in small and big ways? So, exactly.
Yeah. So if you were to speak to someone who's stuck in that, as we talk about it, they recognize they're still stuck in that apathetic survival, struggling hard mindset and
Mm.
ways. What would you say to her?
Mm. Since I was her, and in many ways I'm still coming out of that season, what I would say to her is, where do you feel betrayed by God?
Mhm.
I think oftentimes we have an illusion of who we think God is. And it's not, it's life has taught us that way. So for me, I had a lot of traumas with my father, with my stepfather. A lot of horrible things kind of happened to me in father figures in my life. So that naturally is going to affect my perception of who God is as a father. And so what I realized is I often equated what fatherhood looks like because of how I related to my father. So I was very much like, I have to be strong. Yeah, you're there for me and you're good, but really it's I have to fend for myself. I have to be hyper vigilant. I have to be the one that figures things out and fixes and have the cape on all the time because yeah, you're good, but you're so kind of disconnected from me that you're not really going to be a father that
Yeah.
now, the heartbreak of it is that's not who God is, but in my experience on earth, that's what I believed fatherhood was. So I had to first go to the Lord and really talk to him and ask, what I feel betrayed because I actually feel like you haven't been a father to me because in the ways I should have experienced you as a father on earth, I feel like you didn't. So what was wrong with me or why didn't I get that like other women did? And really, and the beautiful thing about God is he can handle it. He wants our relationship. He wants our true honest feelings. So I think going to God and saying and really reflecting and being like, if you know how you feel betrayed by God, share it with him. And if you don't know how you feel betrayed by God or distrusting of God, ask him sit there. I would also say that I think the root of apathy is a deep desire to feel known. And oftentimes, women who have lived in a lot of apathy have a lot of deep-rooted loneliness. And
Mhm.
so, in our loneliness, apathy has been a way to subdue our hope, our tenderness, our delight in things because we've been let down maybe so many times or we feel
Mhm.
so unknown by the world that it's easier to fall and default to an apathetic state than to recognize that your heart is actually yearning to be known. And the beautiful thing is that the greatest person that could ever know you and love you is the Lord, is Jesus. So it really is a full circle moment. So I would just
Yeah.
encourage her, yeah, go to God with your honest hurts and disillusionments and recognize that your apathy is probably because you feel deeply unknown.
Yeah. So feeling betrayed by God and being honest and authentic on where that is and what that is like. And that sometimes can be a really painful moment in facing your hurts and your fears and then recognizing how alone we are sometimes. Um, entered, my husband and I just celebrated our 40th anniversary, and
Congratulations.
we were laughing because we're going back 40 years, and in the church that we were in, it actually had in the wedding vows that the wife would obey the husband. And so
Mm.
we're reading our vows, and I went, there's no way I'm going to agree to that.
Yeah. Nope.
I'm like, submission to each other and edifying each other and honoring you, I can all say, but I will not obey, because obedience meant a whole lot of different stories to my childhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but it was a fear-based decision, a feeling. It was not that he would ever have told me to do anything that was harmful to me, but it was that I need to protect myself. I've got to be self-reliant. All of those things, and you're shaking your head like you resonate with that.
Yes.
And so we do that in all kinds of ways. I've got to protect myself. I've got to take care of myself. And whenever we're standing on guard like that, uh, sometimes it's necessary with people, but with God, it isn't. And
Exactly.
when we learn how to be able to put down those, or at least acknowledge they're there and ask Him to help us to put down our shield,
Exactly.
um, it changes everything in the direction in what we can go. So as you begin to do this, who did you discover God was for you?
Mm. I would say that first and foremost, he is so vast and so intriguing and so in depth that I think it's gonna, it's a lifelong journey, I think, to continue to get to know who he is. But I think it first started with a prayer of, Lord, help me to know you for who you really are, not who I think you are or should be. So I
Mhm.
think consistently praying that was actually really good, because I'm like, Lord, open my eyes to see you again, not through the lens of my hurt or my fear, but to see you for who you are. Not, and also not even who people say you may be. Like sometimes there's a lot of things that people can do, good intentions or not, that actually do damage to our perception of the God, and it isn't who he really is. So going to him to say, help me know you for who you are, was huge. I would say from this idea, my story is very much from a father standpoint. I looked at other little girls growing up, and I saw the dads always picking them up from school and hugging them tight, and the girls just running up to their fathers and going to the father-daughter dances. And I remember going to my mom, I did maybe like 6 or 7 years old, and being like, I want that. And she told me that my first introduction to the Lord was actually, you do have one. You have an Abba Father who loves you more than any earthly father ever could. So my idea of God the Father started as a young age. But I think that I learned because of other men that came through my life that God was a God of performance. So if I did good things, therefore he'd be happy
Mhm.
with me. And instead, our God is a God of grace and a God that like doesn't look at what man looks at. And so because of that, it's actually rewired so much of my defaults in me, that God is not the God of performance. He wants your heart. He sees your intentions. He sees what no one else sees in the dark, and that he loves you so much more than you can possibly comprehend, not for because of what you do, because of you're his daughter. And there's nothing to change that. And so that has been incredibly actually painful to walk through, because of how much of my life I've spent in a performance mindset. And yet at
Mhm.
the same time, how incredibly freeing it is. I cannot tell you. And if you're a woman who's gone through similar things and you're resonating with what I'm saying, there's so much freedom on the other side of getting to know God for a loving, grace-filled God and not a performance one. So those
Yep.
are some.
Performance was my Achilles heel too, if you will. And when I get into fear, it's where you default to. Uh,
Yes.
and notice I just know it's an area where I was vulnerable in the past. And God has an amazing ability to meet each person where they are. And
Mm,
he can say one word
yeah.
or two or whatever, and it changes everything. And so, but it begins when we begin to seek him, and we ask those kind of questions. Like, God, I say this often, show me how much you love me. Help
Yes.
me to know and to receive, not just like God loves me,
Yes.
to know that. And one story that I have is I was named Donna. I was named after my biological father, who I did not ever have a relationship with, who basically abandoned me. And that's a whole, you get this, you get the story. And I was supposed to be a boy. I was the first child, and I was supposed to be a boy named after him. And I ended up with Donna. And I didn't know it bugged me. It was one
Mm,
of those times, it's just kind of this thing that's under the surface. It's like I'm not enough.
right.
I'm not enough no matter what I do. And then I didn't want to be named after someone who abandoned me, that kind of thing.
Right.
So in my time of healing, where it was in depth, really healing is, God said, you need to go and look and see what your name means.
Ooh.
And so I'm like, I've never looked it up before. And I went and looked at it, and the definition of my name means gracious lady.
Mm.
And he said, so who were you named after? Who's the source of grace?
Wow.
And I mean, I'm just bawling, one of those
Yeah.
hot mess
Oh,
moments, just bawling all over the place because who knew that just that little word, look up your name.
hmm.
And then I did it.
Yeah.
And what unfolded from that. And so he has ways of, I mean, that was just a little bitty thing in my life. You just go on. You're not making a big deal out of all of this, but the immense love that he has for all those little bitty pain points that
Yes.
we have, that when we begin to be vulnerable with him,
Hmm.
that they can bring healing to those parts of us so that we can shine and be radiant and be the women of God that He's called us to. And it isn't like this is a one and done. I continue my journey of all of the things that life may bring that disappoint me, and process. It's a relationship, not a religion. And
Exactly.
so learning how to walk through it. So you have brought some beautiful, beautiful concepts and thoughts. This is one podcast to go back and take notes from if you're listening to this the first time, because there's a lot of nuggets in here of steps that you don't realize she gave of how to go through and really let go of all of that pain so that you can have a vibrant life, which is what you're here for. It's
Yeah.
what we're here for, to be loved and to love others as well. Lauren, I thank you for sharing your story and all of these nuggets. I think I'll go back and take notes too. And what is ways, if people wanted to learn more about your conflict resolution and the other things you're doing in the business field and area, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, my pleasure, Donna. My company is called Boundless Co. It's about breaking through limitations. I felt like the Lord gave me an aptly named company name. And so you can find me at boundlessandco.com. I'm also on Instagram under Lauren Bronson Petrous and Boundless Co. And I would just love to connect with you. I offer 20-minute complimentary connects so that we can just I would love to hear if you're a leader and what you're navigating, and if there's any way I can partner with you. And if you're just an individual who's looking to unlock some potential, I would love to partner with you in that way as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Lauren, for coming and sharing your story. And I just bless you and all that you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Donna.
Well, as I told you, Lauren is a gem. All the ways that she's impacting corporations and individuals and touching my heart. If there is some way that I can support you, I'd like to offer you my free gift, a guide to renew, recharge, and thrive. And that has a bunch of tips. It's a downloadable PDF that is free for you. I have a monthly workshop on the second Monday of the month. I'd invite you to that. Both of those things are free and available to you to help support you to grow more vibrantly. And until I am back with you again, please share this and with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, blessings. Bye for now.
hope your soul feels ignited, your spirit nourished, and your mind buzzing with possibilities. Share this with a friend who needs a dose of vibrant living. Tag us on hashtag Vibrant Living Podcast and tell us your biggest takeaway. For more support, clarity, and wisdom, visit Donna at iVibrantLiving.com. See you soon.